Good
New
morning,
Year.
everyone. Yeah, good
Happy
morning.
New Year.
We
Happy
have
New
a
Year.
special guest with us today. This is Beth Cherryholmes. Cherryholmes, is that your maiden name or what is that?
It is. It is. It's a handful,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yeah, Cherryholmes
Sweet
Miller.
name. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and she is the dog-friendly expert. She opened up an organization called Wagtown. We're going to go into the details of all that today. But Beth is also, she's a sought-after subject matter expert. And I see that having known her for a while now, she does so much research and she shares so much that everything that she does is always documented. I love that about Beth. And she's an award-winning animal advocate and also a speaker and an author. So Beth, we welcome you to the show, and we would love to know exactly. Tell us how you went from 30 years of being in owning an ad agency and to helping dogs. How did that come about?
Oh, good question. Well, 30 years in advertising, I will tell you, I absolutely loved. I went to school to be an accountant and I took one class in creative marketing strategy. And I was like, this is for me. And I built the program so that it integrated sociology and psychology and pop culture and ethnic studies. So it was more about what makes people emotionally gravitate toward different topics, products, services, or whatever the case may be, versus just saying, I'm going to run an ad and see if I can sell something. And I really gravitated toward that. And, and then we got to the point where we formed an ad agency. We actually swapped it over to being a strategic agency instead of just graphics. And so that continued to steep me in the importance of research. So, that's kind of how that came along. So that's been nice that I have graphic design and merchandising and research and public speaking and training and, everything that an ad agency would do. I've done that. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because I'm always like, I'll just do it myself.
It's mostly
like,
a good thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
mostly. It makes you feel like you're using your talents, right? But I
right.
started to work more and more with nonprofits and really fell in love with the passion. Because you talk to passionate people.
I know. Well, yeah, you found the power of the dogs as your inspiration, and
I
that
did.
was like a miraculous transition. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I grew up. Do you guys remember Ranger Rick magazine or World magazine?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I lived on those things when I was little, and I used to tear the pictures of animals out and put them all over my walls. And I always liked only the animals that didn't have any people in them, because my mindset back then is like, the only thing that the humans are doing is kind of destroying the world for animals. So I kind of had this resentment, like, the humans are screwing this up, and if the animals would just have been left alone, it would have okay. And I think we see that with the power of people and what they can do. I was disappointed with what we could do versus what we were doing. And then start to realize, like, dogs, they don't make people do things, but they definitely make them better people. And I think that's the real thing that I started to see is
Roman's got something to say on that. Go ahead, Roman.
No, I have nothing to say to that. Title.
Oh, okay.
Times Square.
Okay.
with
this is a
freeze
math
frame.
problem. I didn't know there was going to be math.
Yeah, right.
Now I had decided to kind of flip my perspective, and it was like, okay, well, maybe we could do that. Maybe we could make a difference. And when you take a look at what dogs do for us emotionally, socially, economically, safe-wise, welcoming infrastructure, all of those things, that's what I found through my research. I did 600 interviews all over the United States. And I didn't just talk to dog people. I talked with people in economic development and travel and tourism and public safety and transportation, and all of those things that really are cogs in the wheel of making a community much more vibrant and attracting people to want to be there. Specifically in this case with dog-friendly people looking for it. And these days it doesn't mean a whole lot because we keep jumping around about what it means based on where you travel. So what I've seen in Carmel doesn't happen in Dayton, Ohio, and the other way around. So it's definitely a very unique thing. So being that subject matter expert is just based on the fact that I've steeped myself in so many different facets of it. And it really helps you pull back and have this great vision, I guess, of what's possible. And that's where I get going, because I've done some culture shift, programs with like reforestation and things, and watching things like that work and watching people's minds change and watching their behavior follow in suit is intoxicating to me.
So it seems to
No.
me you're like more behaving like a dog right now because that's what dogs do. They observe, they observe the strategies that are being applied, they learn from
Yeah.
it, and then okay, this is my niche, this is what I'm going to that.
Yes. Yeah, it
Perfect.
totally is. Totally is. Yes. Totally is. And I'm begging for it too. So there's that.
So let me ask you, with all these 600 places that you went to,
Mhm.
were you able to work with them to make changes?
They didn't know what I was asking about. So I did 2.5 years. Yeah. No, I really wanted, because I didn't want to go around looking for what's dog friendly. I wanted to go around and look for where dog friendly is, why, like what happens
Oh,
there, and it had to have come from somewhere, right? And so you start to see planned communities versus unplanned versus kind of a generic versus a grassroots versus an organic. So it happens in some way. And what I started to notice through all those, and so it was not 600 places, it was 600 people. So it
okay.
was intercept interviews at dog parks, and all the way down to the user base, all the way up to legislative bodies, because I wanted to take then all of those 600 interviews and really drive it down to safer communities. They are healthier, they have more welcoming infrastructure, they're much more humane, they are much more responsible with their dogs, and they really have a sense of responsibility with their dogs. And so, I mean, that's like, to me, that's a great definition of where I want to be with my dog, right? So
Hmm.
it's an exciting thing to be involved with, because we're basically taking what, to your point, Roman, what do dogs think that the world could be? I mean, they're just like this kid thing, right? Like, this is amazing when they go to a Pups on Patio event for the first time and they've been acclimated to that. And so they're ready to go in and have a comfortable experience. That feeling that they have about the excitement about the world, that's what we need to instill in people, because then they'll be, like my friend Ian Everett says, be more dog.
Yeah,
We all need to be
exactly.
more dog, right?
Boy,
Yeah.
boy, that's music to Roman's ears for sure. I
Well,
definitely.
it's a common fact that we have wrong people designing things for other people. So you have known, let's say, for example, male engineers designing female use items, or we have um, people who are not handicapped or with disabilities to design things for people with disabilities. It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense,
people
right?
that have
And now
that
we
are
need a
unfamiliar.
person, we need a system that actually designs systems for dogs who come from a dog's perspective,
Yes.
who actually sits
Yes.
down and observes what do like dogs do like every day, what we
Yeah.
tell them to do, what they would like to do.
And how
And
they
that's a big
play. And,
difference.
one of the things that I always have to clarify with people is, I love dogs. I've been around dogs my whole life. I used to train and compete in obedience and just love that. But a lot of people think that I started Wagtown because I wanted to take my dog everywhere. And I couldn't. We had Rocky, our Great Pyrenees, and we couldn't take him anywhere really. He was reactive based on some things in his troubled past, and it really had an effect on him. So we couldn't take him anywhere. But that's kind of the whole point of dog friendly, is dogs that grow up in a dog friendly community, they understand how to interact with people. People understand how to interact with the dogs. And when they start to have a relationship like that, then they start to prioritize things like, can I take my dog here? Because we're starting to see in the real estate industry that the number one question is no longer, how are the schools? The number one question in many parts of the country is, where can I take my dog?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
When I
Well,
started to hear
that's
that, I about fell
interesting.
out of my shoes. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And we're
that's a
seeing more and
very,
more of that. It was 38% of people now travel with their dogs when they go somewhere. 13% of people moved specifically to make their dog happier, like uprooted,
yay. Well,
went to a
you
new house
mean we're
almost,
finally
right?
getting through? We're finally getting through to these people. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Beth, tell us what is Wagtown? We're going to show a video of what you do,
Okay.
but just briefly tell us what Wagtown is.
Okay. I mean, the shortest answer is that I started a nonprofit that could help communities go responsibly and authentically from we want to be dog friendly to we are dog friendly. And whatever that means for that community, to sort of morph that community and that culture into something that's more dog and more dog, but suitable for everyone in the community. So it's not dogs everywhere. And if you don't have a dog, then you're not allowed here. They're dog friendly needs to mean that if you have a dog, that's great, and we have ways to celebrate that. We have ways to care for your dog in different ways. But if you don't have a dog, it's not like you're a second-class citizen, right? We have to recognize that we all have different things that we love, all have different things that we're into. And if dogs are your jam, I agree with you. And it's when you really get into there and you start to read more and talk with people like you about what they're capable of. I wanted to take what's possible through a dog's eyes, to your point, Roman, and educate people about what's possible, because dogs don't put ceilings on their thoughts. They just think, right? So we need to be more like that. We need to say dog play. What does that mean? It no longer should mean an acre with a square of fencing. Maybe it is, but couldn't we do so much better? And so that was sort of the root of Wagtown. How do we take it in piece by piece and make that difference?
So Jude wants to know, now my question while house searching is, are my 3 and maybe more LOL dogs welcome?
Well, that's a good question. There are some things now. There's a thing that I call a breed discrimination refugee, which would mean, I don't know what kind of dogs you may have where you're out there, but you really need to check about legislation, laws, ordinances, policies within different communities to know if you can come there. Denver just switched their law. It's still kind of discriminatory, but it used to be that they could come to your house, seize your dog, and put it down. So obviously, you need to find out what dogs are being discriminated against and what they are not. Also, other communities will have a limit on the number of dogs you can have in your household. So these are just little things. I had a friend who sold his house, had a contract pending in his new place with his new job, and a buddy called and said, I don't think you can live there with your dog. He had a husky. And he called, and sure enough, he was going to be in breach of contract, and it was just a mess, all based on that breed. So, Jude, when you're looking at that, really do your homework, check into, don't be moving into what I call a dog-friendliness desert, where you don't have options for holistic care. There are not elaborate options for emergent care that have specialties. You don't have places for them to play. All of those things really come into play when you're trying to find those places. So what we're trying to do is develop communities so you can more consistently be pleasantly surprised when you move, instead of repeatedly like, oh, I miss my old system with my dog. It's because there's such a wide range.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's look at what Wagtown is, okay, folks?
Dog friendly. It's one of the most overused and under-delivered promises in the United States. That's where Wagtown comes in. We've traveled across the states and conducted several hundred face-to-face interviews with leaders from economic development and veterinary care to tourism and animal rescue. We help to create real dog-friendly communities. Wagtown provides consulting, programs, recognition, and marketing purely for the purpose of creating dog-friendly neighborhoods across America. Partner with Wagtown to enhance awareness and recognition of your welcoming community. We can also help you improve your ranking and demonstrate your excellence. It's proven that dogs have a positive impact on our health in the battle against disease and obesity. Let's have a humane and responsible dog-friendly definition to benefit the lives of everyone at both ends of the leash. Dog-friendly environments bring safety through an increase in neighborhood activity and vigilance about maintaining a safe environment for dogs and their humans. Increased economic activity comes from customers who want to spend their dollars at dog-friendly venues. Dog-friendly towns find that their neighbors are more responsible pet owners, ranging from basic obedience to picking up after their dog. Dog-friendliness is a great attractor of vibrant talent and is gaining traction. Communities are looking for ways to get involved with increased support for animal care and rescue organizations. Wagtown helps communities deliver on authentic dog-friendly promises and is one of the best economic growth tools on the horizon. It's time to stop faking the difference and start making the difference. Contact us for an assessment of your community, and let's make the WAG happen together.
Now,
If you've got a pack of hot dogs in the kitchen.
If you got a bag of hot dogs in the kitchen.
Is this a snack time?
Don't throw it to the dog.
Yeah.
So first thing that I noticed, you have a Pyrenees, and I'm international known to specialize in Pyrenees dogs. I work with
Oh,
several
really?
international rescues. So I was like, oh, there's a Pyrenees dogs around.
That's our guy.
I,
We just
I
lost
like
him
I
in
like the
January. Oh my
concept.
gosh.
I like the concept that you guys show is the economic benefit, because you're not kind of like the dog lady who wants to get dogs to see everyone like a weirdo. No, you says,
Exactly.
hey, you know what? You have a huge percentage of dog items in a supermarket. You have a huge percentage of dog budget in veterinarian groomers. There's a whole community around that. You cannot just look away from it.
Mhm.
Right.
It's not a dirty
Right.
thing to have in your community. It's something a clean, beneficial thing to have in your community.
Yeah. And well, the thing to be sure to remember when it comes to our disappointment about the existing situation with many dog parks is that we have to remember that we came from, I'm 54, so when I was a kid, our dog was chained to the deck leg. And, that was how you cared for a dog back then. And I've had invisible fence with my dog in the past, and I've used a prong collar and so there are all these things that you kind of grow up, morphing into. And so we need to remember that the entire country, in different levels, viewed dogs in such a different way back then that it's not uncommon that a lot of these facilities would have been made away from town, where we don't have to look at it, where you can't get to it, where you can't find it, instead of saying, what we see now, which is people have gone from I own a dog to my dog is family to my dog is my child to my dog is my soulmate,
That's
right?
me.
So it's right. So
Yeah.
you go through this whole gamut.
Exactly. Yeah.
you-
That's my baby. That's my
I
baby.
know, right? It's your
Yeah.
baby. Well, think
Uh-huh.
about it. Would you create an experience like that for your child?
Right.
Would you? But we wouldn't. But they weren't our child then. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
they
Right.
were, but they weren't. We didn't see them that way. So now a lot of the changes that we see with food and services and products for pets in general, it just has exploded. And I think it's because people are starting to have this sort of popcorn brain where they're like, oh, we could do this and we could do this. What if we invented this? What if we said that this was possible now? I mean, look at COVID. How many things that we thought we couldn't do that we now do, right? So, I was talking with Roman that, this is the perfect time. More people are getting dogs, more people are traveling with their dogs, more people know because of that travel what's possible. When you
Right.
know what's possible, then you can throw out what you thought you knew, keep the good stuff, but be open to the idea that maybe you should take a look at this in a little different way. And to your point, Roman, through a dog's eyes, but look at it through the health department's eyes,
Right.
through law enforcement, veterinarians, public service, all the people that are taking care of public works. You've got the restaurant industry, you've got health and human services for public health, in addition to things for like schools and playgrounds and things like that. So all of those people, including legislators and community leadership and grassroots groups, that's who makes the dog park, not just the park services people. And I think
Mhm.
that's the big mistake, is that we shove it on them, on whoever it is, and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. And dog people are very passionate. So sometimes they're not super soft with their requests, right? So they come in, wouldn't it be great if people who love dogs and wanted to have some off-leash play options could be a part of that process and explain what their vision is and come together with people who have the operations responsibility and the ability to staff that, to consistently create a good experience. Those people should be having a conversation together. But too many times it's just, we're going to go ahead and build this because we promised it through the levy, or we're going to go ahead and build this because public demand has grown to the point where we need to find places to put that. But we're still sticking the dog park way in the back, away from everything. And when you have that where they're building it like on the outskirts of town, then you still have equity issues, because there are people who don't have transportation or maybe the money to get
Right.
there. And a lot of
Yeah.
times those people are the exact ones that really need that open space play. So it's a different dynamic. And instead of saying, oh, well, that's a shame, we try to sort of address some of the issues by saying, I'm just not going to take my dog to one of those places, which I completely understand from many parks that I've seen. I would never take my dog in there, and switch it around so that you could say, I want to go to a dog park. And then you could say to somebody, do you know if it was developed using smart thinking? That smart dog park professional certification program lets you know that they considered safety, manners, awareness, responsibility, and training the whole time that they were creating the experience. So everything that's in there is held to that standard. So you look through planning and creating and evaluating and improving over and over again, but you always keep that smart perspective, so that that's going to help you focus on the user experience and the ability to successfully maintain it, to sustain it financially and from a maintenance perspective and equipment. It's a very big project, and I think people don't appreciate the value of the experience to the dog owners, and they also don't, on the other side, appreciate what it takes to maintain a park, because it's one of those things we all want it, right? It's like having a dog. We all want one, but we're not sure who wants to take care of it.
Actually, you're let me see here. I think I got that. Yeah, you were listed in the top 10, the top trends.
Yes. I was very excited about that. Yeah. I used to be a volunteer for the National Conservation Task Force, and so I was very honored because Rich really heads up a lot of the conservation stuff when he was doing his NRPA work. So to have the National Organization for Parks and Rec reach out and say, hey, we like what you're doing, can we talk about it? And then it shows up as, this top trend for 2022 for, our recreation options. So that was a nice nod. In fact, on there, he said that we really need to start thinking, if we're going to do this right, as dogs, as taxpayers, and act accordingly. So again, that one else made me fall out of my shoes too.
Well, we have to see. Go ahead.
Is there any? Did you work with local dog organization like Shelter and other organization? And what's the reaction from these organizations to your proposal?
It's enthusiastic, but it's jaded. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, yes, we need this change, but I don't believe it's possible, kind of thing.
Yeah, and don't count me in. Don't count me in.
Let me know
how much does it cost.
And let me know when you get it up and running, and I'll be there to root you out.
That's right. I'll be like, oh, good job, Kathy. Right?
Is there?
And they've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. As a second question, did you notice less dog put down in a community where this is implemented, or people are more aware of the of
dog-friendliness?
Dog-friendliness, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do see that. And, you'll start to see people who are more engaged with like animal control, and you'll have an animal control that's more based on resource provision and safety nets instead of punitive actions for people. And so they worry less about permits and more about, do you need dog food because you're strapped right now? A lot of people through COVID, I'm sure, had moments when they were feeding their animals and not feeding themselves. So, it's not a great situation for anyone. But you do start to see, when you think about it, if you live in a community where they prioritize open space play for entities that we consider to be precious to us as members of our family, if you walk into a community and they're like, we have this for your dog, and we have this for your dog, and we have that for your dog, that naturally lends itself to a community that when you say, we just had 27 golden retriever puppies found that were dumped from 3 different litters, and we have no way to care for all of these. That's the community that, because they invest in infrastructure and other things for dogs, they're the ones that say, I will take at least one of those dogs until you can find a foster. Okay. I will rescue one of these dogs. I'll adopt one of these dogs. It just changes how you think about life in a better way, in my opinion.
I would like to point out for those communities,
thank you,
it's not really about dogs here, right? It's also about the people who are behind the dogs. Let's say, for example, relationships. We know through COVID, we had a huge amount of increase of violence in homes. And we know that those people who have dogs, their dogs being used against them in order that the violence to be continued. Now, those people who want to go away from that abuse, which is a social issue, right? They have nowhere to go. They cannot even leave the house because the dogs is not safe. There's no safe house that takes in dogs. And there's not one or two people in town. There are many people. So if that opportunity is there and this smart system is in place, they will be able to leave that house, and those people being exposed.
Yeah, it's a real problem. In fact, I lost you on the end there. What was that?
It's also throughout the cultural systems. Like in different areas. There are poor people, there are, middle class, and there are rich people. All those people, indifferent of their financial status, they all need dog parks. Their dogs need social interactions. It's
Right.
not just like for the
Yep.
poor guys or for the rich guys. It's
Right,
for
right.
everyone.
And we're starting, we do start to see that with people. A lot of people would say a dog park is a sign of gentrification. And I think what you really see there is, they're doing spending that goes outside of their emergency spending. And so, you can see where you have people that need safety nets, and then there are dogs that need safety nets. Obviously you need to defer to the dogs, but I can tell you that I went to, I'll leave them unnamed, but there was a shelter that I went to, and I spoke with their animal control folks, and they used to disallow dogs to come in with an abused person to, seek help and have protection from that violence. And it turns out that it's almost a 1-to-1 correlation of, if you're abusing your person, you're also abusing your dog almost every single time.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where now it used to be that if you went in and you saw the dog was abused, you were required to call in and have children's services check on the child. Now, if they go in, they're required to have someone to check on the dog. And so we're starting to see that this is
Yay.
yeah.
Really?
So it's like,
Wow.
oh, okay, an abuser is an abuser, right? But if you live in a town where people are training their dogs, they know how to be around dogs, and they can see body language, you're going to notice these dogs that have this, the head duck and things like that. And it'll be less common because people around you will be interested in training and being aware. We think about all of those issues. You have to, to your point, Roman, look at it from a huge perspective of, there's a huge problem with this. And I think with each of those, you have to say, okay, this shelter is not willing to take in this man because he's got his dog with him. It's supposed to be 20 below, and they're begging this man to come into the shelter, and he refuses because they won't let him bring his child in with him, his dog. Next day, across the street from the shelter, the man was dead, frozen to death, with his dog laying on top of him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So really,
Oh,
and you know what they do?
wow.
You know what they do now? They take dogs. So they could have. We could all make a difference if we would stop saying we can't do this, we can't do that.
Exactly.
And we said, let's
Yeah.
find
Amen.
a solution. Let's find a solution.
Okay,
It's
well,
kind of like a system. We have to have somebody die to make a change.
yeah.
And it's so easy.
Mhm.
It just makes a decision to make a change. We need some people
Yeah.
like Beth who says, you know what? You don't have somebody to be killed for us to pay attention to it. Here's the statistics. Here's the
Right.
picture. All we have to do is look at it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Beth, now let's go into your certification program that you have for the Smart Park, because I think that if we want to invite people to really be responsible and take action, this is a call to action here.
Oh, absolutely.
Where they can become. So I'm going to put the link in our post here, guys.
Okay.
So
That would be great.
You can go ahead and you can sign up to get a professional certification for the dog park. And you might want to explain what this is about, Beth.
Okay, sure. In a nutshell, it is a 30-day program where you have 4 weeks of training with some tests. And the way that it's laid out is there's like a welcome overview, and there are short 10-minute videos that walk you through planning, creating, improving, and evaluating and then improving your park on a rotating basis, so that you're constantly, like each one of those phases, are you collaborating? Are you communicating with these people? Are you in lockstep with the mission for the park district or the foundation that you're working with? Or maybe there's a master plan for your community where you're all about art. If your community is all about art, then your dog park should be considered a canvas, right?
Okay.
It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be this thing where only the dog people come in. We're talking with Yellow Springs. They've got an amazing community of very intelligent people, very cerebral, very candid, very passionate about their beliefs, but very all ships rise. And so it was very important for them to create a dog park experience that was a true reflection of what they believe, because they believe, some people believe, and these people like believe stuff, right? So it really needed to be just seeping out of the pores of this dog park to be that reflection. And so a dog park that I saw Dave King had at Lake George RV Park. Now he's in the 1 percentile for like 25 years of the best RV park in the United States. So pristine experience, absolutely gorgeous. did this amazing dog park, one of my favorites, fairly built environment, but it's in the woods, and just one of my favorite experiences out there. And then you go to Redmond, Washington, where I was at Marymore Dog Park, which is 40 acres along a slow-moving river with stand-up paddle boarders cruising by, and you've got put-ins like for kayaks, but they're put-ins for dogs. And so as you're going along, it's like, here's a Yorkie next to a Leonberger playing in the water, and they're just dirty, and and there are treats and there are toys and there are kids and it's everybody, and there's people going crazy everywhere. There are people taking a chuck it and going down there, and it's all fine because the dogs know how to behave in that environment. The people know how to read dog body language. They understand how to get in the way of a couple of dogs, So it really changed my mind about the do's and the don'ts, to be not saying you absolutely should never do this in a dog park. It really needs to be, let me take a look at your dogs.
Yeah,
Let me take a look at your people. Let me look at how you support them. Let me take a look at your economics. Let me look at your education system. Like, how are we talking to children about dogs? So I built a curriculum for K1 to keep kids safe around dogs, teach them
Oh my God, that's
jobs.
great.
And then I wrote a book about breed discrimination to help them understand the journey that a dog go through in the shelter, for instance. I mean, scared and lonely and disoriented and doesn't understand why everyone is calling him a mean dog because he's a pity mix. And so, self-worth and sticking with it and believing in forever love, and then finally finding that person, Lila, in this instance, where you can kind of take them away from what we thought we could do with animals and with ourselves and with our communities, and transport that into this utopia for us and for our dogs, and the way we work together, the way we bond and socialize. The human emotional bond, or the human animal bond, is undeniable, and it drives so much of our thinking, our decision making, and what we value. And I don't understand why we would not take this opportunity, because now it's so clear what they offer with so much research available now.
Yeah, right.
And say, let's apply that to how we live our lives with our dogs.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So now you've got a dog park that's opening up. And when is that?
Well, we soft opened. We got COVID, and then things were a little crazy with that, so it took us a little longer than we wanted to. So we did a soft open because it was coming into winter. So we're going to do our grand in the spring, and it's been kind of nice because it gives you a chance to sort of test the waters, see what you like about things, make some adjustments, and it also gives them time to do what SMART is, which is come up with education programs and events and ways that they're talking about bleachers by the dog park, so you can watch. Watching dogs play is very therapeutic, and I love to do it.
Where is the park?
It is in Yellow Springs, Ohio.
So
great to know. It's a little town in Ohio. Yeah, it's this little town, and I actually met the village council president when I was doing this volunteer outreach stuff for Wagtown, and he asked me, he said, "How's Yellow Springs?" And Yellow Springs is sort of this, they call it like the Berkeley of Ohio. So it's just very open minds and very open to doing things a little differently. And I was surprised that they didn't have one, because one of their mantras is to be welcoming to all kinds of people and all kinds of thinking and stuff like that. And it was surprising to me that they hadn't gone that stuff, because they're all about the experience. They love dogs, the outdoors, and, from Subaru, those things go together, right?
Yeah.
So, it kind of makes this transformation. And because they're this sort of Bisbee, Arizona creative town, I'm just blown away with what they've done in their ideas, and I cannot wait to see sculptures going in, custom pavilions by artists, and it's just, I think it's going to be one of those projects, as I hope with all the SMARTs, that I can visit and see what's up and kind of follow along. Part of SMART involves 10-minute videos that you can kind of go at your own pace, and there are leave behind materials. We have guide sheets for you doing your budget and figuring out your maintenance and your scheduling, the nitty gritty. There are ways to communicate with the public and do charrettes and do public meetings and all of those things. There are ways that you can integrate technology with QR scans for video training. And so there are so many different ways that you can approach it. And all you need to do then is say, here's the core belief that we have about the SMART component of what we're going to do for this park. What does that mean for my community? And if that's what we need there, who should be involved? I mean, that's like the easy steps, right? What do you want? Who needs to be involved? And how you can dream big and see what's possible. Wouldn't it be better to say, what would be possible if we did this, 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 this?
That
and
would
then
be like,
bring it in.
That
Don't
would be
bring
like
it
a
in and
flagship.
go, you what?
That would be like a model to follow, this park. when it's
It
open.
is, and it's interesting because it's a very small town.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good example of they had 11 different council meeting notes that I looked through that for a decade they were trying to build this park, and it always stopped because they didn't really know what they were doing. They felt,
So what's the name
there are a
of,
lot of bad things.
is the name of the park Wagtown, or what is
No,
the
it's
name?
Yellow Springs Dog Park.
Okay, Yellow Springs.
Smart Park.
Smart Park. If you guys want to go there, I will say go at sunset
What is
because it's unbelievable.
what is the nearest large city? Is that Cleveland?
Oh, in Dayton or in Ohio?
Dayton? Okay.
Oh no, Dayton's
Okay.
pretty small. Dayton is like
No, but
trying to think of-
the next big town next to this location, where is the closest thing?
oh, yep,
Gaetan is
Dayton.
looking for an
Dayton.
airport.
Okay. Yeah, I am.
Yes, come on out.
Well,
Bring your dog.
my goal this year, I'll do that publicly, is to go out and film opportunity. Like this is an opportunity. I can go there.
Yes, absolutely.
I do like a filming, interview you on the spot, have a
They
tour,
would love that.
and come back here and have like a video for our show.
Yeah.
So
They would love it, and they're just the most interesting people. They would love that to show off what they've done because it's pretty impressive. When you go through a decade of trying, it's tough to say to people that like 400 people in this Facebook group that have been there for years. Like, where is it?
Yeah. Okay.
and then
Great.
say, we're building it.
Yeah.
Well, I signed up already.
Did you?
Yeah, I was just waiting for you guys to finish your
Well,
talk.
I'll get
you
a
know
gold star.
what though, Roman, I even have something a little bit better. Beth and I have been talking now for actually we've known each other for quite some time, and we finally were able to get together, and it was a spiritual awakening, honest to God, real kindred spirits.
Yes, it was.
And what we finally decided was that you all know that we're building the Golden Girls, and the Golden Girls is a community. And the community eventually in 2023 will have Golden Girls Suites. Now what we've decided is that we're going to partner with Wagtown, and we will have an actual smart park in the Golden Girls Suites, and it's part of the design, and the builders are excited about it. So we're very, very happy. Very, very happy.
I'm starting making my hair longer.
Okay, and now I have to ask you this now, Beth, because I know that this is kind of a segue into where we're kind of combining what we're doing with the Dog Connection into the Golden Girls, and your opinion about how important it is for especially senior women alone to have a dog as not only as a protector, a companion, but they help them so many ways. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I think it's critical. I mean, we see the animal bond that comes with humans and the health perspective, mental health, physical health, but there's also that that companionship that comes along. And I think people think, oh, it's nice to have a dog and it's nice to take them for a walk. But when you really get into it and you really kind of get into this under the skin with the dog relationship, it's life-changing. You know, it makes you feel differently about the world around you. It gives you hope. It helps you get past things that are difficult, and we've had some difficult times. And seniors can have a tough time finding a dog because people won't adopt them out to a senior for fear that they will pass away before the dog does. So sometimes it can be hard for older adults to have dog relationships, especially, you know, if you're older and you lose your dog. You know, a lot of people are like, I want one, but I can't get one because I just won't do that to a dog. So there need to be options like, you know, the Golden Girls would be, you know, Deborah Hamilton has this great map program where you map out a plan for your dog in case something would happen to you. Well, Golden Girls would be ideal because all you'd have to do is say, Janice, will you be in my circle of people that if something happens to me, that they know what my wishes are about my dog. So when you have the Golden Girls, and, you know, you and I had talked about this concept of instead of dog parks always being, you know, over past the railroad trestle where no one can see it or hear it or anything, to what if we started with, instead of saying we're going to have a water feature in the middle of our community, what if it was a dog play space? So it's this place where people come in and they socialize. It gets you outdoors. It gets people walking. And so all of those things are so positive for an ideal and healthy senior experience. So now you're saying, hey, would you like to add something that adds love, companionship, health to a senior environment? I'm like, yes. right?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Exactly.
I just think it's going to be amazing. And I think you're onto something with that. I think people are going to start to look at that. We've been talking to developers that, they're kind of like, we want to do this, but we're not really sure. Again, not really sure. So now we're talking with people who have boarding facilities, who have like dog bars, the retirement home market. So there are so many different ways where we could just stop and say, what do we know that would be a best practice for this niche?
Exactly.
And then we just need to find passionate people to partner with. And then all we have to do then is make the world a better place.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And from a personal experience, being a senior and also having a dog, just the idea of living in the Golden Girls suites. Now, of course, I realize that it's a year or so down the road, but just the idea and the planning of it, it's based on women like me who have the same kind of wants and desires. And the good thing is that you forget about your illnesses, you forget about your health, and you concentrate on, what's going to be good for me? And the dog idea of him, and what everyone says, well, why not a cat? Well, because the first community we're going to develop is going to be with dogs, because dogs are the ones that can make a difference in someone's life immediately. And that's what we're and then of course you've got somebody like Roman who can actually come in and help these women remotely.
Online, okay? I'm not going in private.
I know. That's what I said, remotely.
He's like, it depends where it is, right?
Yeah. Remotely help to train, because the community is actually being based on all remote, all virtual. And like we talked about, that maybe we'll even add in a dog groomer station and also a dog shampoo, also dog walkers, because sometimes what happens if somebody breaks their leg? Well, they're going to be in a community where somebody will take their dog and take care of them. So absolutely, not only dog friendly, but absolutely, totally built around the support of the dog. So I love the idea. I really, really do.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I don't know why I didn't think of that, of like, this sort of, I don't know, the phenomenon of when you're caring for something else, it's, it just, for some reason, it takes pain away. It takes worry away. You're focusing on their feelings instead of your own. Yeah. And I think you're right. But basically what we're doing is like, there's a dynamic project that is going on in Jersey right now called Bark Buildings, and they're helping apartment complexes understand that there aren't really as many insurance issues and hurdles that they thought they had to go through, very few in fact, and different ways to, and so they're adding dog washes, they're adding walkers, they're expanding their dog parks, because they're starting to realize, like in Austin, we talked about this yesterday, they'll just sit, an apartment will just sit if it's not dog friendly, because people just expect that to be the norm. So we just need to kind of shift the norm. So you take projects like that, and then you have projects like Wagtown, and you have projects like what you're doing with the Golden Girls. And when you start to pile in, here's a positive thing, this is a best practice, this makes people feel wonderful, this feels your help, and then you put it all together, whether it be a Golden Girls community that has a few women in there, or it's an entire community, or maybe it starts as that little nugget. And think about the seniors making blankets for shelter dogs, doing funding.
Oh, speaking of that, hey,
purpose.
Listen, we have who was it here now? Maynard says, I would like to see a training module for local seamstresses who could individually measure local dogs and make their coats from scratch for the dog and companion human.
Oh, that would,
I could imagine some
direct message me, baby, because I know those people.
Okay.
What is amazing in that conversation is that the bottom line is human at the end of the day will have a better life.
Oh, yeah.
Because we take care of the dog.
That's right.
That's create a better life.
And the dog becomes the focus.
Better life for human.
Yes.
At the end of the day. And that's why I'm on the show.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
If you think about it, everybody loves their Peloton, right?
Yeah.
But you don't, it's about making the world better. And if you can just take dogs, make you better, and then just expand it. So I love dogs, but this is a way for humans to evolve in addition to dogs.
I'm with you 100%.
And take responsibility.
We were evolved. For some reason, we're kind of falling in the
wrong way.
Right? Because I remember, back in time, dogs had a status, right? people had dogs in their graves. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't have their partners in the grave. They had dogs in their grave. Whole communities were built around dogs as goddesses. I'm not going in that direction, but we had a status with dogs. There's something special around those dogs. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot just see them as animals. We never have.
Right. Yeah.
But it seems like in this dark age of this in-between time, industrialization, people walk away from the church, people walk away from family communities. They have nothing left other than the dogs.
Yes.
So
You're
it's a
absolutely right.
social issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we need
Yeah.
to also see that as a healing process, because if you don't have the supporting communities, the only one left to help you see your own trauma is your own dog.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, if you were in a situation where you needed a little assistance, and they said, we're going to provide you with medication that will calm you down, it'll take care of your blood pressure, it's probably going to help
Exactly.
you lose a little bit of weight. You should have
and it
better
has 4
focus.
legs and walks.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it's like,
that's it.
oh,
That's
wait
the
a minute.
medicine.
We're going to
That's
take
the
it
me-
away from you.
Yes.
You would lose
Yeah.
your mind.
Absolutely.
And it's just a dog,
Yes.
but
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
best medication, right?
That's the best
Yes,
medication. I 100%. Yes.
And if you think about it, the dogs are always there for kids to help them grow,
Yeah.
and dogs should be there for the seniors to
gosh.
help them through their transition.
It's a
It's
motivation
amazing
also.
to me what they can do.
Yes, yes. What better way? I mean, just the oxytocin that comes out of you when you pet an animal. It just. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, we've got a bunch of questions here for you, Beth,
Okay. Go
that
for it.
people have been. Let me just say that this is a LinkedIn user. I wish LinkedIn would let us know who was on there. Okay. She writes, so true here too, Beth. These are ones that are your friends. Dog people are passionate but need support.
Yes.
How can we help people be a part of that process where people are enabled to listen to each other? Whoa.
Yes.
That's
Yes, Deborah,
that's
you're
the
Deborah, that's on you, baby. You got to solve that one. She's working on it. She's amazing. She works with mediation and dog law, people in conflict over animals. So it's a big problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Let me see, or appropriating a space that doesn't work, like rough granary land. I think she was talking about,
Yep.
I didn't bring these up at the time when you were talking about them, but now we can go through them probably about what the dog parks could look like.
Yeah. Well, that's
Okay.
a great first question. Oh, do you want to, here's Jude. So true.
The wealthy
Yeah.
neighborhoods areas can do this with more ease. It is
Yep.
harder for low-income areas. Not fair, but currently true. Well, that's true,
Yeah.
but if it takes off, then it certainly is something that could be community-based or even equity-based.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, if you have a
Yeah.
system for people to follow, then it's like if you take a very well-off community and you say, let's create some, dog recreation opportunities. Well, that's going to be a different process than if you go to a community that has limited means and they have to support, healthcare and education in their community in a different way than this affluent community does. If they both are working with at least a blueprint of how to find land that is safe for the dogs, that doesn't have some sort of EPA issue, doesn't have chemicals in the soil that people weren't aware of, that it's not going to have erosion problems. Is it going to be safe for their feet? Is it too hot for the substrate? Can you shut down the park at certain times to give it a chance to, refurb itself? I mean, there are so many different things, and that's just picking the piece of dirt you're going to put it on, right? Whether it be dirt.
Earlier,
complicated.
earlier you were mentioning like a park on the outskirt of a city or a village. If I take the example of Chicago, there's thousands of empty lot because the house were either burned down, abandoned, but there's thousands, maybe 2,000 empty lot in Chicago.
Okay.
So it can be very easy to take a lot on a block and make this a dog park.
Right.
And it's in the city, and there's dogs there, but they have no place to go. I see in a part of the city where it's called River North, people coming out of their apartment with a 80-pound dog, and the only place they can go is on asphalt and cement. And
And dogs don't like that. They like grass.
And there's no park.
it can be dangerous. There's no parking. There's very little rule following, and
Yeah.
it does become this trickle down of when you create a facility that looks like you threw it together. You're not going to maintain it. You don't have people showing up. It's going to lend itself to bad behavior, to bad experiences, to people saying, well, it doesn't really look that great. They probably won't mind if I don't pick up my poop, or, they didn't do it. Why should I do it, kind of thing. And so that's where that constant education, constant engagement of the users, so that they feel like they're part of something bigger than just them and their dog. Not that that's not a wonderful thing, but when you start to make those connections, because you're making connections with people who get it,
Right.
that understand how much difference that the dog can make in their lives.
Right.
And to having them, they've had this shift in Parks and Rec to have these pocket parks or these neighborhood parks, because they found that kids that were living in areas with less green space, they didn't have access to these parks that were too far away. So they're trying to shrink it in. So it's like, oh, you can walk here and you can walk there and where. So now we have kids that are active and outdoors. Same thing with these pocket parks. I think that's why these pop-up parks are so popular now. They're just giving it a try, and there are some issues. You're going to have noise and parking, and situations can occur. But I think this is just this natural progression where it's going to be a little bumpy, and now it's the perfect time for something that's like, let's smooth out that route a little bit to get your off-leash area going. And whether it's a dog park or just a place that welcomes it in a new way for retail, there's got to be a better way.
And you can create a green space in the middle of a urban block where it's only asphalt and concrete, and that's and it's an empty space anyway. Nobody use it, and that's very, very creative and very positive approach there, where human and dogs can find a common ground.
Yes,
to enjoy, to improve the quality of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
It looks like Maynard wants to join us. Well, you should join our project here, because we've got a couple of them going on. So anybody that would like to, please do so. Let's see. Maynard says, can a local pet business become a Wagtown training station for younger persons who want to become party to Wagtown?
Oh, you need to just email me, Maynard. Beth@wagtown.org. I would love to talk to you about that.
Okay, let me put that in there.
The more we can collaborate, the better. So it really is going to take all of us to say, even the people that are like I don't put clothes on my dog. I bought a sweatshirt for Sesto. I just can't. I have to admit, I think I put it on backwards, but I just didn't have that, oh my gosh moment, right? Yeah. I'm just not a dog sweater person. So, that's just me as a dog person. I think then being like my friend Kat, she's got this amazing dog named Mac, and he wants something on every day. It's like he's like, hello, where's my clothes? And so it's just a matter of, again, you got to know your dog, you got to know your community, you got to know the people, the players, the grassroots ones, and you need to find those people that are going to show up. And I think if you have people in the, you talked about training people in sort of the Wagtown way, that's what we need to exponentialize. Is there's only one of me. I've done all this research, so if I get hit by the Purina truck, we're done with the stuff that I was trying to do. No, I'll look both ways.
Stay away from the truck.
So yeah, I think there are different ways we can do it, but I needed to be able to can it in a way that's usable, expandable, flexible for different kinds of use, in a way that makes people feel more comfortable. You understand better how to staff it, how to maintain it, how to entertain people, everything gets so much better when you plan in advance and you incorporate everyone's opinion. You don't always do what everybody wants, but at least you've heard the need and the concerns, and the opportunities are there. So yeah, it's pretty exciting when you get into it.
Great. I love it.
Yes.
Actually,
we need to have you on the show again very soon, Beth, because we want to follow along with the progress and
that would be fun.
Where things are going. Yeah, I'm sorry, folks, that I'm busy doing things over here, because I want to be certain that we can go ahead and put in things go to Wagtown. And by the way, next week, just so that you know, we're going to be having a tribute to Betty White.
Oh,
for all that
wonderful.
She has done. In
you know what? There needs to be some amazing Betty White dog park that has rescue going on, and there are places you can go and find fostering, and you can go and play with dogs.
maybe we can have the first Golden Girls be named the Betty White Park. Let's
I
plan
second
on
that.
that. Because
I second
Golden
that.
Girls Community, Betty White
Yeah.
Park.
Yes.
Excellent idea, girlfriend.
There you go.
Okay.
It's on
The
the
power
record. Thank-
It's on
serendipity
it's on the
occurs
record.
again.
Serendipity. There it goes. Yeah, Catherine will love
Yes.
it. Okay, all right, you guys. Well, I think we've gone way over. Let me see. Last one here now.
So
wait,
what? We're
Betty White
smart.
loved Dan. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Betty White. Betty.
Yeah. He,
I-
Jim Fair. Talk about a dog lover. He and Benji,
Yeah.
BFFs. He takes them to spa treatments.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Okay, did that. Okay, that's it. That's it.
I agree,
Okay, we had a lot of things going on here. Wait, I think this one here that she has to go for an appointment, but this was
Oh,
great.
bye, Jody.
Great. Bye, Jody. Okay,
Thanks,
and Maynard says maybe a private play group for suburban dogs with busy
Yep.
companion humans.
Yeah.
Okay, there's so many ways that maybe what we can possibly do is organize like a Zoom meeting for all those that want to support, and they can all get together and
Interesting.
we'll start brainstorming. That sounds
Okay.
great, folks.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I'm putting together a 45-minute free webinar that kind of explains it step by step so people can kind of see what it is. But, to the point where Maynard is like, hey, what if we did this? That's the kind of thinking that happens when you live in a community that says, and what about our dog? How do we
Exactly.
incorporate that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's always been a desire of ours at the Dog Connection to help inspire people and lift them up and help them to understand the value of their dog, because if they don't understand the value and the special gifts that they've been given, Gaetan is a true believer now because he has experienced and he's seen it firsthand what a dog can do to change a person's life.
Mhm.
It's miraculous. You see it all the time, but it's so underserved, just like a senior citizen is underserved. So these are two underserved dogs and senior women coming together to make miracles happen. So I see it happening. So thank you so much. Look, guess we got somebody else here now. Okay, great work, everyone. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Kathy.
And I just want to give you a heads up, guys. I have
You're good.
2 workshops coming up from this weekend, the coming weekend, about puppy training online in a holistic way. And
Okay.
I will start implementing also the idea of educating people how to join those smart parks, because it's not just the park being there, because you need to actually educate your dog how to be social in those parks.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Right.
definitely want to touch base with you because we're creating WAG scan materials that when you go into the park, you scan, and then there are education videos, and which obviously need to be, evergreen for some of them, but then timely for Giardia or things that are going on in the park, that it's safety, it's programs, but definitely having training in there. I talked to somebody, I think maybe it was you, we were talking yesterday about the fact that, you wouldn't take your kid to a pool with people standing around that aren't lifeguards. It's kind of like you're throwing your kid into the pool, they have no swim lessons, and you bring a dog in, and you think about how we set them up. It's like, we're going to go to the park. It's going to be so much fun. Get your toys. And so the dog is like, something amazing is about to happen. And then you're in the car and you're like, we're going. Can you tell we're almost there? And so the whole way you're jacking up your dog. And then you get there and your dog is like losing their mind already. And you're like,
Yeah.
take home. And you're like jerking them around. And you're like, what is wrong with you? And then they get there and they're charging the gate. And you're like, you just spent the last 20 minutes in your car making sure that your dog was going to be nuts when you got there. So I do think it's funny and fun to watch the dogs barking when they like drive toward the dog park, kind of thing, that they're like so excited. But to your point, what's the dog experience like there? I mean, it's fun to watch them get all excited, but how much of that is nervousness? How much of that is unsurety? And really touching base with your dog and taking classes like Roman has to really connect, to really understand your thinking. Like Liz has a great ability to think with dogs, and Billy has a great, some of these trainers that are out there who take a more cognitive behavior perspective where you're really embracing that bond and getting away from fear training and really having that relationship. Then you learn together, just like we're going to learn in all these communities. So I think I appreciate the soapbox here because it's something that I'm so excited about. And I can't wait to see, because I'm a I'm a dig for the pony person, right? So
Yeah,
possibilitarian, this could change the world. This
Oh
could
yeah,
change the world.
by the way, possibilitarian, you might want to share this story and that we'll exit with that.
Oh gosh. Well, it was actually from my friend Lorca. I used to work with her when I was in the Parks and Rec industry. And she would say possibilitarian in these meetings. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. Like, I'm just
Perfect
like,
word.
we could do that. It's possible. And so I was doing a LinkedIn post and I put in there, blah, 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 hashtag possibilitarian in there. And Faz Bashi, who's, the board with, oh gosh, he's going to kill me. You guys probably know. He messages me. He's like, I have possibilitarian.com for the last 10 years. I didn't, it was like this, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. And he's in the pet space and I'm in the pet space. So we were able to Zoom and connect, and it was just over a word, right? So there's something out there that's serendipitous that we come along to when we need to. And so here we are, Kathy, talking about what's possible. You have two people in here who believe what's possible, talking to people who also want that possible to be a reality. So I can't thank you enough for giving me a chance to share all of this and to get your ideas. Yeah.
Yes, we absolutely love it. So let's have you on the show again, Beth. And hey, everyone, great show. We will see you
at the Smart Park.
Yes, we'll see you at.
There you go.
We'll all be smarter when we see each other again.
Well,
now seriously, sign up so you guys get updates and you see how
sign
you
up.
can.
Oh, and Roman, I put your link to your events in the.
No, I mean sign up for the Smart Park idea, right?
Yep, we got that. We got that in there too. I put that in there. So, yeah, and everybody should do that.
Yeah, and on my side, I'll try to be to this park in Ohio, Yellow Springs Park in near Daytona by the spring, sometime in the spring.
You're going to come out? Oh my gosh, you'll love it.
I will make every possible effort to go there springtime. Okay. That's been before June 21st.
Okay. Yeah, before it gets too hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't
between
come to
March
June.
between March and May or something like that. I'll make an effort to get there. Okay.
Bring your dog, because we tore our house down and we literally built a dog park in our backyard.
By that time, he'll have a dog.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, you don't? Are you dogless right now?
No, I'm dogless because my apartment is too small, and we're planning to move to a house, and there's a conversation about having a dog there. So we'll see.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And by the way, for those that were asking, where is the Golden Girl Suites going to be? Right here in Las Cruces. We found the land, and we're planning on it. So see you soon,
excited.
you guys.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.